Okay, when you hear Web3 or blockchain, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most people, I bet it's uh, engineers, coders, right? People just heads down writing really complex code.
That's definitely the common picture. And look, it's a strong one. And yes, that technical expertise is absolutely vital as the foundation.
Yeah.
But, well, focusing only on that misses the bigger picture. I mean, the huge range of opportunities opening up right now, it's sort of like looking at a massive building and only seeing the steel frame, ignoring everything else inside.
Right, all the people, the different jobs making it function. Okay, let's unpack this because that idea is exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive into careers in Web3, blockchain, crypto,
hmm
using this stack of articles and surveys you share.
And our mission really is to explore what jobs actually exist, beyond just the coding roles, what skills are needed. And some of this might surprise you.
And also, what's it like to work in this space, this sort of decentralized, fast-moving world? Hopefully you'll have some aha moments about where your skills might fit or maybe what you need to learn.
All right, let's start with that big picture then. The materials you sent paint a pretty clear scene of the overall Web3 jobs market, don't they?
They really do. The main theme is growth, rapid growth, and a huge demand for talent. Blockchain, crypto, these sectors are booming.
Which means companies need people, lots of people.
Exactly. Across, well, many different kinds of jobs.
And here's that surprising bit again. It's not just about coding. One of the surveys was really eye-opening, as something like over 40% of job openings are actually non-technical.
40%.
Yeah.
And that number is so important because it means all those skills you might have built up in, I don't know, other industries, areas you wouldn't maybe think of as tech.
They're valuable here.
Incredibly valuable
Yeah.
and transferable. You're not necessarily starting from scratch. You're applying what you know in this new kind of decentralized context.
Okay, so if it's over 40% non-technical, what kind of jobs are we actually talking about? What's in demand?
Well, the sources point to quite a few.
Yeah.
Product managers, for one. They're absolutely crucial.
They're the bridge, right, between the tech teams and the actual users.
Precisely. Making sure what's built is, useful and meets market needs.
And then, of course, data.
Ah, yes. Data analysts and data scientists. Makes sense in such a data-heavy space.
Highly sought after. You need people to interpret all that complex information, find the insights, and then there's the user side.
Making it usable. UX/UI designers.
Essential. The tech can be complicated underneath, but the experience for the user, that needs to be smooth, intuitive.
And getting the word out. Marketing.
Definitely. Content creators, digital marketers, they need to explain these products, build the brand, engage the community. Community is huge in Web3.
Yeah, the material really stressed that engagement part, which leads straight to community managers. Especially in things like DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, these roles are vital. Building relationships, managing discussions, fostering that loyalty.
And as this space grows and bumps up against the traditional world, legal issues.
Oh, absolutely. Legal and regulatory experts are becoming critical. Navigating privacy, IP, security, making sure everything's compliant. It's complex and always changing.
And you need people to find all these people.
Right. HR and talent acquisition. Specialists who get the unique culture here, who can find and keep good people, often in these distributed remote teams.
Plus sales and business development, of course, partnerships, growth. And I saw mentions of quality engineers, web designers, operations specialists too. It really covers a lot of ground.
It really does. It shows that pretty much any function you'd see in a regular business has a place here, just, adapted for Web3.
Okay, that's a great overview of the landscape. Now, I want to zoom in on one specific role you mentioned, one that came up a lot in the sources, the blockchain project manager.
Yes, this is a perfect example. It's a role people kind of get from traditional tech, but it has its own flavor in Web3.
So what's the core job?
Fundamentally, they're responsible for the whole lifecycle planning, executing, delivering a digital product or service in Web3, making sure it happens on time, stays within budget, and meets the quality standards.
Similar to a traditional software PM, but dealing with blockchain-specific tools and challenges.
Exactly that. And the sources really highlighted how often agile methodologies are used. They seem almost essential in Web3.
Why agile specifically? What makes it such a good fit?
Well, agile is really designed for situations with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change. And that perfectly describes the blockchain world right now, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Things move so fast.
So agile lets teams be flexible, iterate quickly, respond to feedback, adjust to new requirements. The material mentioned being well-versed with Agile, and frameworks like Scrum are key for managing that step-by-step delivery.
The sources broke down the PM's job into three main buckets, which I found helpful.
Right. First up is people management. This is about leading the actual team on the project.
So hiring, setting goals, performance stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Making sure the team works well together, is motivated, all that. Then there's process management.
This sounds like the traditional PM bread and butter. Plans, schedules, meetings.
It is. Creating the product plan, setting milestones, running meetings, whether people are in the same office or spread across time zones, tracking progress, and a big one, managing risks.
And blockchain risk management is its own special challenge, I imagine.
Definitely. Dealing with potential smart contract bugs, network issues, security vulnerabilities, it's a specific skill set.
Okay, and the third category?
Technical management. Now, this is important. It doesn't mean the PM needs to be a coder.
But they need to understand the tech.
They absolutely need a foundational understanding. They need to coordinate the different tech teams, engineering, QA, maybe operations. They oversee implementation, manage dependencies. They need enough technical fluency to talk intelligently with the builders and understand the implications. Not necessarily deep expertise, but fluency.
That's a key distinction. So what skills make a great blockchain PM?
Well, beyond that technical fluency, strong communication is paramount, especially translating complex tech stuff for people who aren't technical.
Makes sense. What else?
Excellent interpersonal skills, being super organized. You're often juggling multiple things, attention to detail, leadership, good time management. These are all pretty standard PM skills, but crucial here.
And then there are the skills that are maybe more specific to the Web3 context.
Yes. Managing remote and distributed teams is huge, given how common that is. So understanding async communication, best practices for that.
And knowing the tools.
Familiarity with the Web3 toolset, definitely. Things like Discord for community interaction, Notion for shared docs, maybe PUAP for engagement badges, Snapshot for voting, Sesh for scheduling, even things like Coordinate for decentralized team rewards.
Keeping up to date seems critical too. It feels like things change weekly in this space.
It's non-negotiable. Continuous learning is essential. Keeping up with the tech, the market, the regulations, which are constantly evolving. You need an innovative mindset, adaptability, and being active in the community networking.
So what might a typical day actually involve for one of these PMs? Sounds busy.
It usually is. Lots of stakeholder meetings, coordinating between different teams, engineering, design, product, QA, building release plans, tracking progress, identifying and tackling risks or issues as they pop up.
Reporting status, leading meetings.
Managing client relationships if applicable, juggling competing priorities. Yeah, it's a dynamic role.
For someone maybe making the jump, their first blockchain project as a PM, did the sources offer any starting advice?
Yeah, a couple of practical tips. Choose the right tools for your team, maybe Jira, ClickUp, Asana. Focus on iterating early and often really embrace Agile or Scrum.
Get feedback quickly.
Exactly. And keep stakeholders involved, get their buy-in throughout the process. Don't just show them the finished thing at the end.
It was also useful how the material clarified what a project manager isn't, especially since titles can overlap.
Right. So a Scrum Master, for example, is different. They facilitate the Agile process for the team, but they aren't the ultimate decision maker on the project like the PM often is.
And an operations manager.
They're focused on keeping the day-to-day systems running smoothly, not delivering a specific new project. A product manager decides what gets built based on strategy and user needs.
While the project manager figures out how and when it gets built.
Precisely. And a marketing manager obviously focuses on promotion, not the development process itself. They all work together, but the focus is different.
And the opportunities for PM seem to be growing within specific Web3 areas.
Yes. The sources mentioned demand in developing dApps, decentralized applications, DeFi, decentralized finance platforms, and things like DID, decentralized identity solutions. These are big, complex initiatives needing strong project leadership.
The material even mapped the PM role across the whole product lifecycle.
Yeah, it showed how they're involved right from the start. Ideation, market research, project concept, planning the detailed plan, budget, execution, running the sprints, testing, launch the release, user guides, and adoption monitoring, getting feedback. The PM is there through it all.
Okay, let's broaden out again. Beyond just project managers, what skills are valuable for pretty much anyone thinking about working in Web3?
Well, the number one thing, even if you're completely non-technical, is getting a foundational understanding of blockchain. The material really hammered this home. Understand the fundamentals.
Just the basics of how it works.
Yeah, how it works at a high level. Key ideas like decentralization, security, transparency, immutability.
Hmm.
The idea that data, once it's on the chain, is really hard to change. Knowing a bit about its history, the core concepts,
Yeah.
it just provides crucial context for any role.
And beyond those absolute basics, any other technical ideas worth grasping?
The sources pointed to a few. Understanding smart contracts, what they are, what they do, basic data structures, some principles of cryptography and security. Given the crypto aspect, some financial analysis understanding can be helpful. Data analysis skills, too.
And things like regulatory awareness, user experience.
Both very valuable, even outside specific legal or design roles. Knowing the rules of the road and focusing on the end user is always good.
And what about soft skills? They seem extra important in this kind of fast-moving, often remote world.
Arguably just as critical as the technical side. Excellent communication is key, especially explaining these complex Web3 ideas simply. Critical thinking, massive adaptability seriously. You have to be ready for change, creativity, and strong problem solving. All vital.
So if someone's listening, feeling excited, but maybe a bit intimidated, how can they actually stand out? How do they position themselves?
The material had some good practical suggestions. Look into relevant certifications. There are general blockchain ones or platform-specific ones.
Get hands-on experience.
Definitely. Contributing to open source projects is a fantastic way. Build a portfolio, show what you can do, maybe specialize in a niche area that's growing like layer 2 scaling solutions or zero knowledge proofs. That can make you really attractive.
Staying informed is a given, right? And networking.
Absolutely essential. Follow the news, engage with the community online, go to events if you can. And here's a big one. Learn to talk about your existing skills using Web3 language.
Ah, translate your resume.
Kind of. Tailor it.
Hmm.
Use keywords like decentralized platforms, community building, async collaboration. Show how your past experience in, say, marketing or project management directly applies to the needs of this environment, even if the company wasn't called Web3 Inc.
Let's talk about the work environment itself and pay. The sources had some really interesting stats.
Yeah, one of the defining things is remote work. It's incredibly prevalent. One survey found, what was it, 88% of people in the crypto workforce work remotely.
88%? Wow.
And another 10.6% work hybrid. So very few are fully office-based.
That really speaks to the global, distributed nature of it all, doesn't it? A huge contrast to a lot of traditional industries.
It really does. Now, compensation. As you might expect, technical roles, particularly senior ones, often have higher base salaries because of that specialized expertise.
I saw a figure for senior North American engineers, medium base, around 166K, average 176K guys, slightly higher than Web2 counterparts.
Right. But importantly, non-technical roles can also pay very well. The material mentioned ranges like 60K to 120K for a crypto marketing manager, or maybe 60K to 150K for a cryptocurrency analyst. It really depends on the role, the demand, the impact.
And there's this unique aspect of token compensation, too.
Yes, about 1 in 5 people in one survey got part of their compensation in tokens. The initial value of those token packages tended to be much higher for executives, as you'd guess, compared to non-execs.
But for the regular salary, the base pay, it's still mostly traditional currency.
Overwhelmingly. 97% get paid their base in fiat, dollars, euros, whatever. Only about 3% get paid in crypto directly, and USDC, that stablecoin, was the most common choice there.
The surveys also touched on diversity.
They did. One noted the current gender split among respondents was about 85% male, 12% female. But importantly, there's a growing recognition in the industry about the need for diversity and inclusion programs. Companies are focusing more on building balanced teams, which is definitely a positive trend.
So looking forward, what's the general outlook for these Web3 careers based on the material? Is this boom going to last?
Well, all signs point to continued growth. The demand for talent is definitely rising. One source said the global talent pool grew over 50% since 2020.
Wow.
And hiring is projected to go up another 30% in the next couple of years. So yeah, strong continued growth is the forecast.
And it's not just crypto-native companies anymore, right?
Exactly. As blockchain tech starts getting integrated more widely into healthcare, finance, supply chains, you name it, the opportunities for people with all sorts of skills, both technical and non-technical, are just going to keep expanding.
It really paints a picture of a super dynamic job market that needs a much wider range of talents than maybe people first assume.
Yeah, it's definitely not just the stereotypical Silicon Valley tech profile anymore.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up this deep dive, the main takeaway seems really clear. The Web3 space has this rich, growing landscape of careers that goes way beyond just coding.
Absolutely. These non-technical roles, project management, marketing, design, BD, legal, HR, they're not just side jobs. They're vital for actually building this decentralized future.
And success really comes down to getting that foundational knowledge, figuring out how your existing skills transfer over, and just committing to learning constantly in this super fast-paced field.
Adaptability is key. Continuous learning, leveraging what you already know.
So as you think about all this, maybe where you fit in or what skills you could bring, here's a final thought to chew on, something building on our discussion. How might this big shift towards decentralized work and the clear importance of non-technical skills in building these new systems, how might that fundamentally change how we think about expertise itself, or collaboration, or even just our own career paths in the future? Something to mull over.